everyone, Katherine Jarris here. Pronouns are they, them, and theirs. I am a professional psychic, and I'm also a professional brow artist. And Psychic Brows is the channel where I combine both. I want to thank everyone who joined us last week for our series all about being a psychic and a non-psychic job, and those who joined us in our last episode, which was about turning those powers on and off, and is that possible, and what it's all about. This week is going to be a fun week. It's a Halloween special week, and today's episode is a little bit about the history of Halloween as well as what's going on right now with it. So I'm going to just get right into it. The roots of Halloween are considered from a pagan holiday under the Celts called Samhain, and it was done at the end of harvest going into the fall as a way to honor the dead as well as give thanks for the harvest and ask for protection through the cold, hard winter that was ahead that quite honestly was hard for a lot of people to survive through. Typically kind of happened in a lot of history with the pagan rituals and ceremonies. The church had taken and created a very similar holiday, religious holiday that overlapped on it. And that was often done as a way to co-opt that pagan holiday and make it into a religious one while just kind of segueing people into it as a way so it wasn't really deciphered between each other or fought as much. And there's a lot of religious holidays that you'll find that with, whether it's like the Christmas time one or Easter, or there's all kinds of them. So this one's Halloween. And so what happened with the church one is then on November 1st, it became All Saints Day. And so it was a way of honoring the dead, but then very specifically saints of the church that had passed. And so the day before, October 31st, was called All Hallows Eve, and then it got shortened down to All Halloween, and then down to Halloween. It just kept getting shortened, and then it transitioned over the years with different ways and practices that it was done in like Europe, and then into the North America, into what we have today. So for me, I grew up in a Catholic household, and I went to a Catholic church for part of my life, or Catholic school, I meant, for part of my life. And that did mean Catholic church often during the week. And so what I recall from when I was growing up with it was that, my family, there was always the things around it, like the pumpkins and the little, kind of ghostly stuff a little bit. As kids, we had that too. And we'd dress up in costumes and we'd trick or treat. I lived rural, so it wasn't like the neighborhood trick or treating that people got to do. We had to drive. And so, we probably got like 10 houses in for everyone who would normally get like 30. And so, but what I do recall in the Catholic grade school I was in was that the kind of Halloween party or whatever, you'd have at school, that changed. Some of the families were a little more strict about it, and they didn't believe in the trick-or-treating portion, or maybe the costume part. I'm not quite sure what it was, but we'd have some sort of party still, but it was tried to be separated from Halloween a little bit. They were trying to honor everyone involved, I guess. But so there were some people that were more strict about it, and they didn't like the trick-or-treating aspect of it and some of the other practices with Halloween. And then what I also remember was that the next day was All Saints Day, and that was a church holiday, and we always went to church for that. So if it was a day that school wasn't happening, we would still go in, like if it was a Saturday or whatever, and we'd go to church. And then if it was a school day, we always did church on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning. But if it was like, say, a Wednesday, we would still go in and we would have church for All Saints Day. So that's what I remember with that growing up. And I don't recall too much that was spoken like super negatively about it or anything like that. It just kind of was. And so now I come to where I am today with it, and I always like Halloween. I really do. But it's the time typically kind of around Halloween I like more than the actual day of Halloween. Even though, I think it's fun. I have my own tradition and like to see the kids in the costumes and all that. But, so what I always notice around Halloween is, quite honestly, I feel like it's the fall time of it around that is always the time of year I feel the most comfortable in my skin. It's always the time I feel most at ease with myself. That's always been a thing. And then I notice when I'm out and about, I start seeing things differently. And I think that's what a lot of people refer to as like the veil is thin. And I've heard that a lot from other people, and I didn't necessarily have a term for it before. Just something that I lived and I didn't realize it. But yes, that would be a term that I think a lot of people use for it. The veil is thinning, or the veil is thin. And what I think is interesting is I specifically do say like the time kind of around Halloween, and it's not exactly the same time every year, but what I start to notice is I start seeing people's faces. And I know that sounds weird, like, well, don't you always see people's faces? I do. But what I mean is I start seeing people's faces behind the faces. And so I start seeing the faces behind the masks. And then I think, oh, isn't that interesting with Halloween? Because people dress up a lot of times in masks. That's what part of the costumes, right? And part of the deceiving or hiding of what's going on. And so, or the trickery. And so, for example, I can be out just anywhere and say I'm just walking the dogs, and I will catch a glimpse of somebody and I will see this other image, this other face, this other mask, or I guess technically not the mask, what's underneath the human mask. I will start, and it can range from a lot of different ways that I see it. I've seen just recently, the other day, I saw some where there was no face. And that sounds weird, but there was no face behind the face. And I was like, oh no, it's starting again. The veil's thinning. And so I connect with my guides and I say, okay, what's going on now? And there's a different kind of range of time every year that this happens. So sometimes it can be really like a high point of it can be from a certain amount of hours, and then it can range to like days. And so when I had connected with them the other day on it, they were saying it was going through this time right now, and it'd be a high veil opening for another 3 days. And so that would be through Tuesday and the beginning of Wednesday of this week. So that, and it doesn't mean that there isn't that opportunity around it, but just now it's the easiest, I guess is the way to say it, where you can see things the clearest or the easiest with I like it, the least effort, because I'm self-proclaimed lazy. So I like that. It's more, everyone can. But the thing with that is to remember is, yes, so you can see things and you can communicate easier, but it also means that all these other things can see and communicate with you easier too. And so what we go back to, your door's open, right? So what do I always say? You don't want to leave your door open. That's why you put your shields up and you put your protections up, because you're not just going to leave your door open for anyone to walk through, right? And then this is even like more extreme. It's like you lifted your roof off, okay? And you're like, come on in, everyone come on in. So it's even more important during this time to really put those protection shields up while you're partaking in this easier access to connect and talk and see with other beings in other dimensions with it. Because if it's easier for you, it's easier for everyone else too. Like, everyone can come in. So it's even more important that you have those shields up while you're doing it. And it brings me to my next point of view is, this is the time of year that people get kind of excited, start playing with stuff and start chanting stuff and start inviting stuff in. And again, with the veil being thin, you're already more susceptible to that. And you don't want to just invite anyone in. Like, you just don't leave your door open for everyone. And also, if there's like some truly, not beneficial beings outside your door, you're not gonna be like, come on in. Yeah, bring that weapon in with you. Why not? Okay, so it's important, I think, just to put this note out there. I get a little bit in my ear, in that to continue to honor and respect what you're attempting to do, and know that, more can happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's more of what you want to happen, and to be extra cautious and put up extra shields so that you're safe and you're protected. And not only you, but the people and the beings around you are too, because you have pets. Your pets are susceptible to the stuff that you bring in, and so are your other family members, and so are people that you're around and that you share space with in any form. So I think it's really important to remember that it can be a time of year that people really like to play with that stuff, and to remember that you wouldn't start doing, I would hope you would start doing a chemical experiment, just playing and not really aware of what's happening, and start throwing stuff together and, what happens. I no more so than that you would want to do that than this. So you want to approach it with some honor, some respect, some reverence for what you're doing, and always keep it as yourself and everyone around you as protected as possible. It can be a wonderful time to connect with those who have passed and to honor your family and be able to speak with them. It's a wonderful time, honestly, again, with protections. Always put up your shields and your protections. Ask your guides to help you, be your bouncers, but invite them to your dreams. Now's a great time to do that, and especially now, for the next, would that be 48 hours? It's going to be really heightened and really strong. So 48 to 72 hours. Yeah. And so that would be, go back to that dream video that we went over. If you haven't listened to that, or if you want to review it, I would go back to that week, to the dream analysis week, and use this time to invite them in and connect with them for those that you want to. So Halloween week can be really fun, and I always just encourage people to keep your shields up, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, pay attention to what's around you, and utilize the time where you really can connect a little bit more. And for those who maybe don't want to connect more, because I understand that exists as well, then put those shields up good and strong and just say, you know what? I don't need to see you. I do it all the time. If I get up in the middle of the night to get some water or something, and as soon as I wake up, and if I can feel I got a visitor there, I say, you know what? I know you're here, and I do not want to see you. And I just declare it, and that's what I do. And you can do the same thing too. So, because remember, you're not powerless here. That's what this is all about. Put those shields up, protect yourself, whether you're choosing to connect more or you're choosing to consciously say, I don't want to. I don't need to do that. And then that way you can have the enjoyment of the week the way that it works best for you. Okay? All right, take care. I look forward to seeing you for the rest of the week. Be sure to join us for tomorrow's episode, which is going to be all about Ouija boards, and I'm going to have a guest artist on, my Mel, to help go over that with us, because he grew up with it in his family, where it was often referred to as an angel board, and a little bit different connotation than what tends to happen in our society right now. All right, look forward to seeing all of you. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you the rest of the week. Take care. Hey, thanks for joining. If you like more psychic or brow-related content, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then you won't miss any episodes.